He is beneath me. I married him for the same reason you married my sister. Political and social standing, nothing more. She grabs hold of him by the lapels of his robe. Don't you understand, Lucius? We're the same, you and I. Both ruled by our pride and our conviction. We rose to the Dark Lord's ranks because we were without scruples, making us superior to all of his other followers. He wrenches her hands away from him, his face rock hard. Please, do not compare me to yourself, he says frostily. There is a world of difference between us. He once said that about me, so long ago. There is a world of difference between us, my God. Do you know what the mudblood calls me? He drawls. My blood runs cold as I wait for what he's going to say. She calls me evil, he mutters. And who knows? She might be right. Perhaps hardness and a lack of scruples amount to what might be defined as evil. Bellatrix thrusts her chin up hardly. We aren't evil, Lucius. Perhaps we are, Bella. He interrupts her smoothly. Perhaps we are, but I must confess I do not mind being perceived as such. At least I am of sound mind, which is more than I can say for you. I made the decision to follow this path in life, while in control of my wits. You could never lay that claim. But doesn't that make it worse? I think this is just an excuse for her behavior. She blanches at his words, her lips twitching furiously for a second before she answers him. You've got a heart of stone, she whispers. He smirks, shaking his head. Has it ever occurred to you, Bellatrix, that we have served each other right, you and I? Perhaps we were a suitable punishment for each other. But I have no wish to pursue that punishment any longer. She sneers at him. Good God, she whispers. What does the mudblood, the champion of the irritating Gryffindor ideal of goodness, want with a black-hearted monster like you? He takes a deep breath. My heart thuds in my chest so hard it hurts, because I don't even think that I can answer that question. I will not tell you again. I am the girl's god, nothing more. She suddenly bursts into a hysterical laughter. Keep telling yourself that, if it makes you feel better. She crows breathlessly. I can wait. I've been waiting for months, so a little longer won't hurt me. What in God's name are you talking about? Lucius asks, his voice hard with irritation. She gives a delighted, horrible little giggle. She's got to die, Lucius, she says gleefully. She's seen too much to leave this place alive. You've always known that when Potter dies, she will die too. It will be you yourself who will have to do it. So I can wait. And as she dies at your hands, I will know that it will only be a matter of time before you will come back to me. He slaps her hard across the face, so hard she falls to the ground, crying out in pain. But her words still pound in my head. Lucius will have to kill me in the end, and I will die at his hands. He will have to kill me. That will be a fitting end, won't it? I can see the horrible and the loathing in Lucius's eyes as he looks at Bellatrix stumbling on the ground. He looks horrified, as I feel. Even if I were sleeping with the mudblood, he says quietly, furiously, nothing, not even her death, would make me go back to a wicked old hobby like you. Her face twists with rage. Before she can say anything, he drags her up by her hair and pushes. He's like getting really ridiculous with her. Sorry. He's like, I hate you so much. He drags her by the hair and pushes her away from him. Get out, he says venomously. She looks murderously at him for a few moments, her breath coming out in short, furious gasps. My heart can hardly beat for fear, but she doesn't decide to fight him. She just straightens herself up to look at him straight in the eye, her face alive with hatred. Blood traitor. She spits the words at him before turning and storming down the corridor, banging out of the door at the end of it, locking it behind her. A few moments pass. He just looks into the distance. He's contemplating her words, I know. They must have hit him like a knife to the soul, hurt him in the worst way possible. Blood traitor, blood traitor, blood traitor. So many times he's told me that being a blood traitor is like as bad as being a mudblood, if not worse. At least mudbloods are not given the luxury of choice, considering their blood status. Blood traitors, on the other hand, perhaps he'll just drag me back to my room. Perhaps he'll slap me about as he does it. Perhaps he'll end it forever this time. He turns and I tense, terrified of what he could do, but he just opens the door to his room. You better come in, he mutters, so quietly I can barely hear him. I follow him into the room quickly, brushing the cloak against his hand to let him know that I'm through the door. He closes the door behind us, locking it, sealing us safely in together. He looks and closes the door for a few moments, a frown on his face. Let me see you, he murmurs without turning to face me. I shrug the invisibility cloak off of my shoulders and let it slip off down my body, pooling around my feet. He turns to look at me for a few seconds of silence, raking his eyes over my body. He reaches out, brushing a stray strand of damp hair behind my ear. Are you really worth all this trouble? He asks quietly. I don't answer him. I don't really know how. All I can do is stare at him, meeting his glare with as much pride as I can muster. He sighs. He drops his hand from my hair, and his gaze from my face. Blood traitor, she called me, he mutters darkly. To think I would live to the day when a Malfoy would be branded by such any Malfoy, let alone myself. I just start to shake, just a little bit. She's hurt him deeply by those two little words. And I know who he likes to take out his hurt on. I know only all too well. I know only too well, excuse me. Doesn't matter what she calls you, I whisper, fear touching me to speak. He frowns at me. You can't possibly understand what an insult to term blood traitor is. Is it as big an insult as the word mudblood? I ask, my voice hard. He opens his mouth as if he's going to answer, but he seems to change his mind a moment later. He takes a deep breath before he eventually replies, I'm not going to waste my time explaining it to you. He mutters, You'll never be able to understand. I sigh in exasperation, because he's turning from me again, not paying me any attention. Why is he hurting so much? It's just an insult. Or is it that it came from her? Do you still care about her? I ask quietly, not sure whether I really want to know his answer. Does her opinion matter so much to you? Does her opinion matter to you so much? His mouth twists into a bitter smirk, but he doesn't look at me. I never have, and I never will care about Bellatrix Lestrange, he says bluntly. She has never done anything to deserve someone to care for her. I feel so relieved I can't even speak. Because, as much as I hate to admit it, what she said out there hit me hard. How could I ever compare to such a beautiful witch? One who's got years of experience in things. I've never really known why he wants me when he could have her. No, it's not what she said that bothered me. He whispers, his voice focusing only on his dark thoughts. And she spoke the truth, didn't she? He pauses, taking a deep breath. I am a blood traitor, he mutters. I don't say anything. What on earth could I say? When I've turned him into something he utterly despises, he shifts his eyes to meet mine. But how can I talk to you about this? How could you possibly understand what I'm talking about? He says bitterly. Still, after everything, you don't understand what you are and what you've turned me into. I shake my head incredulously. Because it's lies, Lucius, I whisper. You're twisted pure logic. None of it is ever true. His temper flares in his eyes, harsh, unstoppable temper. It is no lie, he mutters furiously. You are a mudblood. That is no lie. You cannot deny it. And by giving in to you, I have made myself a blood traitor. And of course I can't deny that. I can't deny that I'm Muggle-born, and I can't deny that according to his logic, I've made him a blood traitor. So I keep quiet. You've complicated everything, he mutters venomously, looking at me with so much hate it hurts me to look at him. I have betrayed everything I ever believed in. And for what? An insignificant little mudblood. I keep breathing, forcing myself to keep breathing. If you're giving up on everything for me, I say shakily, then I can't be that insignificant, can I? He slaps me hard across the face so quickly that I didn't even see it coming. I clutch my cheeks, tears coming to my eyes. I can't help it. He hasn't hit me for a while now. He takes a few sharp breaths, trying to calm himself down. You little bitch! I hate that word. I don't like when he uses it. I feel like Lucius Malfoy wouldn't say the word bitch. I say that every time he says it too. I'm like, I don't think he'd say the word bitch. I just can't see that happening. You little bitch, he mutters hatefully. You have no idea how much you make me suffer, do you? You've hurt me too! I say, my voice shaking and spitting, because damn him, he has no idea how much he's damaged me beyond repair. That's a title. That's a chapter title. I don't think it's this chapter title. I think it's the next. Oh, it is. That's probably where she got that from, by the way. You've hurt me so much more than I've hurt you. And you did it deliberately, for God's sake. You took my parents from me. Think, just for a moment, he says, his voice raising as he interrupts me. Think about how much you cared for your parents. Just take a moment and remember it properly. I do as he says. Tears come to my eyes as I remember them. I remember my mom's sweet, anxious care, my dad's easy smile. I look up at Lucius. Look into his pale, sloping, hateful face. The man who killed my parents, who became my mother and father when he took my real guardians from me. You would have been glad to die in their place, would you not? He says. Yes, I whisper. I would have done anything for them. He nods, his lips thin with a grim satisfaction. That is how much I care for my beliefs, he says bluntly. You see, you might claim that we aren't the same, deep down, but we are. Both of us have cared so much for something that we could quite happily die for them. All that differs is that you were foolish enough to allow that care to rest on another human being, whereas I learnt years ago that the only person you can